So I would use a really good quality 100% whey isolate, with no colorants, with no toxic anything in it, no maltodextrin, just straight 100% whey. And then with a base, I would use a good quality grass-fed kefir. So I make my own kefir, which is from raw milk, which I find you get the immunity of the cow, and I find it far more nutritional, has more nutritional benefits than a regular kefir.
So it's high in immunoglobulins. Absolutely, that haven't been destroyed by pasteurization.
Exactly, and you get all the immunity of the cow, basically.
Yeah.
So for
and why kefir or kefir as opposed to store-bought yogurt?
Because it's absolutely loaded in probiotics, firstly. So often you find, particularly with an elite athlete, the chances of them getting ill are probably higher because they're putting their body under a lot more stress as opposed to a recreational athlete. I also believe that the protein content in the kefir is far superior than, say, water. We chose to do, or at least I've chosen to do, a non-commercial. So I've gone with a straight whey without the colorants, because of the, we want to reduce the amount of toxicity for the body to have to filter through as well. And just the quality of the kefir, it must be a good grass-fed kefir. We want to stay away from hormone milk. And I believe the kefir can offer that. It's also got a really high protein content. So again, to help with the recovery of the recovery after exercise.
Yeah, and this is where the word functional comes in, because rather than just a commercial recovery formula, which is just pretty much just sugar and maybe a whey protein or some kind of protein, we're actually trying to get food that has nourishing effects on the body. So far we've talked about whey and kefir. So we're getting probiotics and good quality protein. The way we can choose a whey concentrate or a whey isolate, I tend to recommend, if I think there might be a dairy sensitivity, I'll recommend the isolate, just because it's a bit more filtered and there's less lactose and casein in there.
And just to expand on that, if you opt for the kefir, again, the grains of the kefir actually eat the lactose and the casein in the milk. So it makes the, as opposed to a yogurt, it makes the kefir a lot more friendly for people who do have lactose issues or dairy issues.
So fermentation itself breaks down the hard to digest things. Okay, so what else goes in your smoothies?
This is a little surprise for most people that would probably find is actually stock. A high collagen stock. What you would do is you would make this in your own kitchen, and you choose very cartilaginous bits when you actually make the stock, so you get like a super jiggly jelly.
Okay.
And once you've got that, I would put it into an ice tray and freeze it in as like ice cubes.
Yeah.
And then I would take maybe 3 or 4. Now this won't interfere too much with the flavor if you haven't gone wild with your herbs in your stock. So if you've just basically done the meat bits with the water and the vinegar.
So it just becomes a gelatin.
Exactly.
Essentially.
That's really what you want in it. So I would actually use that as part of your whole mix. It shouldn't interfere much with the flavor, particularly if you've got a banana in there. There is that option. There's also the hydrolyzed bovine collagen, which it comes in a powder. That's often flavored, so it could interfere. It's normally done with acacia berry, which is fine. Still adds to a berry flavor. I mean, it's still a really good product. And again, you're getting the collagen. I do feel that homemade, grass-fed, super gelatinous stock is king, because it's
better than the powders.
Think about it. All the muscle tearing that's going on, the inflammation in the body, particularly with elite athletes when they're really pushing their bodies to limits, that most of us aren't prepared to take ourselves to. So incredibly nourishing products to be consuming. In fact, as an athlete, you could probably do a side cup of stock even. That could be better. So maybe not even necessarily, if you don't have the time to have a sip, to make a cup of the stock, I would suggest putting the ice blocks into your smoothie, so you're still getting that rich collagen. We're looking at nourishing your joints. We're looking at anti-aging for sure. We're looking at anti-inflammatory. I mean, the cartilage you get from that stock is just huge.
Yeah, glucosamine and chondroitin and.
So any injury even, or any potential injury, would be a great inclusion in your stock.
Yeah.
In your smoothie, sorry.
So we're talking about collagen that basically wraps up all connective tissues in the body.
Or just thinking like how nourishing and kind it is on your gut, how replenishing it is. What sport does is it takes from you.
Right. So we talked about collagen. What other really healthful nutrients can you put in the smoothie for recovery?
Okay, I would add a prebiotic as well. Some form of inulin or chicory. That would feed the probiotics. So you just need to make sure that they're there. So you want them to multiply, the healthy bacteria. You want it to multiply in your gut. So I would include that as well. So that's available in a powder form as well.
So you're getting a double whammy, pre and probiotic for gut bacteria.
Absolutely. And then I would add a good heap spoonful of chia seeds because of the omegas that it comes with. And again, a nice anti-inflammatory food.
Yeah.
Also a satisfying product, so it makes you feel, gives you that satiety once you've had your smoothie.
And omega-3s is obviously very good for anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
Can we add in a bit of seed oil sometimes?
Absolutely, no problem at all. This is just, my take on it. Also, if you like your smoothies thick, the chia seeds do great. Allow them for 10 minutes just to sit a bit, or once you've blended, you let it sit and you get a nice double thick
milkshake.
Almost, yes. If you're in that kind of thing.
Right. And then what about antioxidants? They're obviously important. We're creating huge oxidative stress if it's a hard training session. You
have the option of putting in some frozen berries, which are pretty much available anywhere now. That anything from raspberries, blueberries, mulberry season. Go for mulberries. You can get fresh mulberries straight off the tree. You could even do goji berries. If that's too much for you, there's wonderful red powders out there. And they're fruity powders, or you can there's organic beetroot powder you can buy now, which would be really good for you as well.
Yeah.
All you would need to do is just flavor it accordingly, to your palate. I don't bother ingesting something that doesn't taste nice. So I always like a nice organic banana as a base of the fruit, and then to add either the berries and the red powder and the beetroot over and above that. To even zhuzh it up further, you could add a couple of almond nuts or any nuts, macadamia nuts, any nuts that you want. If you've got a good enough blender where you can crush those nuts up to make it a bit more filling, you could even add some oats. And when we're talking about jam-packed powdered stuff, a huge spoon of peanut butter. Again, another one, or any nut butter of your choice. It doesn't have to be the
sugar-free peanut butter.
Yes, it doesn't have to be nuts if you've got a blender that can't handle the nuts. Again, though, you've got to balance. You could do a banana, honey, and cinnamon, an almond smoothie. How yummy does that sound? Again, so a really nice. You've really just got to play with flavors. I would definitely keep the base of a good organic grass-fed kefir. I would always add a banana. I would always do some form of collagen for the replenishment and the recovery. L-glutamine, another awesome. A big tablespoon of L-glutamine, a lovely amino acid which really assists the body in recovery. And let's be fair. So there are athletes who are vegan. So a good base for a vegan would be a coconut milk. Again, a nice, good quality. You get good quality coconut milks with just the milk and some water. The coconuts are in water.
Yeah. And
that's what you want. You don't want any E-codes. You don't want stabilizers. You don't want. I think the only possible extra you could have on that tin would be guar gum. That's just a natural product, but no E-codes. No, that's one thing, unfortunately, about the coconut that people need to watch for. Again, the coconut water is such a fantastic product to consume. I think it's the most in nature. I know this actually. In nature, the coconut water has the highest electrolytes, than anything. So, why go with a commercial product with all the colorants and the preservatives and everything else in it when you can just knock back a whole clean coconut water? A really replenishing, wonderful drink to consume as an athlete. Yeah,
some people are using it as exercise drinks, sports drinks, but you can also put it in the smoothie afterwards.
Absolutely. And the same goes with the stock. In big races in the US. Towards the end of a stage race, so we're looking at quite a fairly long, full day race. Towards the end, at those stations, they're offering stocks. Often I find, sorry, one more thing is that athletes want to eat the house out. You know, often find that they're continually grazing. They're never satisfied. They're always hungry. So one of my favorite really filling smoothies would be a nice peanut butter chocolatey one. So if you're using a beautiful superfood like raw cacao, which is very satisfying and actually has a little bit of an appetite suppressant, so it can just tame your hunger a little bit. So having that with a nice dollop of peanut butter, again, sugar-free, just clean. All you want is crushed nuts into your smoothie with the chia, with the honey, with the kefir, with the collagen, with the prebiotic powder, and a whole load of ice. You're going to get a good 500 ml, half a liter of deliciousness, and you'll be satiated until lunch. Although we don't encourage, eating, delaying eating for such a long period of time. But this will, having dealt with athletes in our practice and just unable to feel full, this smoothie would be a smoothie. And we have that in our wholesome nutrition book, actually. Yeah, that recipe in the book, which will be really satisfying for the athlete.